When I think about what a meditator or practitioner is called to do, and when I think about what the Buddha really spent his years as a teacher talking about, it feels very much like a call to arms, a call to arms. There's an encouragement, an invitation, and central to these teachings is this idea that we become what we practice. This is fairly straightforward, and it's a simple idea, but a powerful one. When we practice anger, we become angry. When we practice worry, we become a warrior. When we practice sorrow, stagnation, overthinking, whatever it is, we become that more and more. So, it's still January and when I've been doing sessions this month, I mean, one of the things I've been repeating here is who do you want to become? It's a beautiful question. In my mind, it's a beautiful question. It's easy for life to feel monotonous and we get stuck in our ways. And uh, oftentimes a career can be really good at doing that to us. We just go back and forth between workday and weekend, working and vacation, and we get stuck. So I think it's really helpful to take a step back and just ask yourself, who do you want to become? How do you want to feel inside? How do you want to feel about yourself, your life? And who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? And what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for something to shift externally in your life? Who are you waiting for? Are you waiting for someone to come along and do the work for you? In the teachings of the Buddha, there's a central idea that what is important, what is relevant, is suffering and the freedom from suffering. So it's a very practical sort of frame of reference or conceptual framework here. We suffer as human beings. We feel stress and dissatisfaction. But at times we also feel that release. We feel a relative freedom from suffering. We find a shelter from the storm. And so he's really intent on us establishing a footing in a place of freedom. As the Thai master Ajahn Buddhadasa says, it's this Dhamma, this teaching it's about learning how to fly through the sky like a bird. There's a freedom we can taste. It's like a fish swimming in the water. What might it be like to live from a place of effortlessness, of ease? Is this a possibility? How do we find it? Is it worth seeking? These are the sort of questions that come to mind as a practitioner. So when we sit and we start to look inwards and we start to play with perception, there becomes a growing sense that we participate in our experience, that we mold our experience, that we actually build our lives. And the sort of downside to this is that we have to take accountability for how we feel. And I don't think that's a downside, just kind of speaking tongue in cheek. The upside is that we gain this sense of agency, and you are no longer a victim of circumstance. So to take a step back here, when I come back to this question of who do you want to become and what are you waiting for? I want to add a little bit to this. When I ask that question, I'm talking about anything that comes to mind. But we can ask it a slightly different way. It's like, how do you want to feel? What qualities in your mind, in your heart, and what's called the chitta in the ancient Pali language? And chitta means it's the aspect of our being that feels, right? So in your heart, what do you want to feel, right? So when I ask that question, who do you want to become? Of course, there may be external things that arise. And this is really important, if it's about how much leisure time you have or how you take care of your health or there's many different things that may come to mind, and these are very important. I'm not trying to downplay the importance of these, but in a way these are very much related to how they will make you feel. So how do you want to feel? Do you want that freedom that I was referring to? Do you want joy? Do you want peacefulness, love, goodness, confidence? Do you want strength? Do you want energy, vitality, trust? How do you want to feel? Maybe let that question breathe in your body. And I want to say, for some of us, we've been wrestling with certain feelings for decades. And it can almost feel like, well, this is just how I feel. It can become very difficult to even conceive of a different way of being. And many of the things that the Buddha talks about are inconceivable. Even when I say a freedom from suffering, however we might imagine that to be, we haven't really gotten there in a substantial way yet, in a way that does not relent. But that's okay, if we can allow the imagination to come in, and if you open to the possibility of radical change, that you can be whoever you want, you can feel however you want to feel. So if we kind of let go of any limitation here, who do you want to be? And in the Buddha's teachings, he says very clearly, Buddha has come along, and this word Buddha means awakened one. So someone who has woken up from illusion, from ignorance, from suffering. So Buddhas come along, but they only point the way. They can't get you there. And you can't get there from worship alone. You have to take this path. And one of the really cool things about this path I find is that along the way, you get to develop the very qualities of mind, the qualities of the heart that you're looking for. So if you want more joy, or maybe it's peacefulness, maybe it's a coolness, you just want to feel fresh and free from the fires of anger or pain, anxiety, whatever it is. Along the way, as a meditator, you get to systematically develop the conditions that bring that feeling, that mode of perception to the surface. And you get to build new habit structures towards that feeling. And this, to me, this is what is meant by the word bhavana, which is roughly translated as cultivation. And it's one of the words that is translated as meditation. And meditation is a very ambiguous term in my mind. It's hard to say what it means. But part of what we're doing here is we're cultivating. So let's say you want joy. Let's say joy and peace. Well, as a practitioner, what you're invited to do is to investigate what brings joy and peace, what maintains it, what leads to its disbanding. Really understand that. It's so simple, but it's like, why don't we do this? It's like, yeah, I want joy and peace, but I keep focusing on the career goal, or the fitness goal, or the whatever goal. Or, I keep looking to do X, Y, and Z. But if we just take a closer look and investigate, we'll be able to find uh, we'll be able to see, frankly, that most of the things that maybe not most of the things, but many of the things that we focus on do not lead to uh, a lasting sense of joy and peace. And if that sounds negative, it's actually very positive because what we will find is that like joy and peace are not really dependent on the things that we might feel that they're dependent on. We actually don't need anything from anyone to feel these qualities of the heart. Let me say that again. We don't need anything from anyone. So who are you waiting for to do this for you? What are you waiting for to change? Stop waiting. It's like this is the part in the movie where like the Gandalf figure or the wise uncle says, be who you were but born to be, become who you were born to be. It's interesting that the Taoists have a view that we were born into this life to learn a particular curriculum, to sort of fulfill a destiny or a purpose, and that all the experiences that we come across are here to help us learn that curriculum. It's this view of life is happening for you, not to you. So, once again, spread your awareness throughout your whole body. Really see if you can taste what is right here, right now. There's no need to effort too much. Don't tighten up, but just feel the heart's capacity to be present, to taste, to relish, to delight. The Thai forest master Ajahn Chah said, if you put it all down, you'll see the truth. And if you don't, you won't. If you put it all down, you'll see the truth. This is a teaching about how everything we're holding onto in the heart is obscuring our judgment. It's actually not allowing us to see things clearly. And I was talking to my wife recently about um, the feeling of rushing. You know, when you feel rushed, like there's a deadline coming up, or maybe you're trying to get ready for a party or something, and then uh, you know the food you were gonna cook to bring to the party gets burned, and all this stuff happens, and that that sense of being rushed, right? If we take that as an example, it's interesting because when we're rushing, there's a sense in the heart that I need to rush more. I mean, I'm so late, let me rush more. And then that'll get me what I want, which is to get there as early as possible. So we rush to get ready, and then we're rushing in the car, and the body is tight, and then we're rushing and speeding on the way to the party, whatever it is, right? And then we get there, and usually it's not a big deal that we were late. And so then we relax. And the next party, same thing, right? So when Ajahn Chah says, if you put it all down, you'll see the truth. If you don't, you won't. In the rushing, if we're able to just take a moment, straighten the body, spread the awareness throughout the whole body, we'll actually feel the sense of rushing in the body itself. We'll feel that we're holding on to that with the heart. And as we hold on to that, stories emerge. You know, why is this person making me late? What's going to happen if I get there late? Everyone's going to tell me I'm late, and then I'm going to have to answer for it, so on and so forth. And it might sound silly now, but when we are in the midst of that, it's so convincing. So here Ajahn Chah is saying, if you put it all down, you'll see the truth. If you learn how to let go of these burdens that the mind carries, then only do we see what's true. And there's many different examples of this. Maybe just one more. Maybe I'll just say this. It's like anytime you feel fear or worry or frustration, it comes with a whole lot of story, and the stories are convincing. And it's wrapped up in our likes and our dislikes, our preferences. It's usually wrapped up in a sense of who we are and who others will think that we are. And there's so much going on that, again, obscures the mind's natural capacity to be well. So much of this practice is learning how to let go of heavy things. And, it's interesting. The word attachment is used as a translation for upadana, a Pali term. And attachment, I think, is a good translation. But I also like what Ajahn Buddhadasa says, and another Thai forest master, and he says it's carrying heavy things. Do you know what that's like? If I just ask the question, how are you doing? How's life? Wherever your mind goes, you might find that you're carrying something. I know I am. Can you put that down? Can you step out of time? Can you stop creating future? Stop dwelling in the past? Because the future is only imagined in the present moment. Can we step out of time and come back to the only place there ever was and ever will be here? Can we stop having already decided how things should be? Can we come back to sanity? We come back to the freshness, the openness, the spaciousness of this moment, full of potential and possibility. And we simply feel our instinct towards Nibbana. So, where Nibbana, we can think of it as cooling, the refreshment and cooling that comes when we are free from disturbances in the heart. We all know this feeling. Feel your instinct towards that. No one had to tell you to want that. Whenever it's there, even if it's sparingly, it's refreshing. So, as I started the talk, I talked about a call to arms. And so, in a way, the Buddha is simply calling us to this freedom. So, we can think of our journey on the path as a walk back to sanity or wading out in cool waters. And that's one way. And that might be really appealing. Or we can think of it as we're called to arms. We are warriors fighting the hindrances, the defilements, the things that plague our own minds. Warriors training ourselves to fight whatever leads to stress and suffering. We can think of ourselves as scientists, experimenters, testing different formulas, different hypotheses with regards to perception and how we feel. Or we can think of ourselves as artists, creating beauty. Think of ourselves as chemists, concocting perception. We could think of ourselves as alchemists, transforming. This path is not what it seems, and it's much wider. So I want to say a little bit more here, and this is really important, guys. You need to make this Dhamma, this practice, this teaching, you need to make it your own. Make your own Dhamma. What we are looking for as human beings is not out there. It's not somewhere else. It's right here in the heart. Nobody can do it for us. No one has authority over that domain. Feel your own authority. I want you to stop trying. When you practice Dhamma, stop trying to be someone else that someone else is telling you you should be. That's not what the Buddha is pointing to. It's not out there, it's in here. We each have a capacity for joy. So I'll end with a phrase that is in certain texts. I believe it's in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and a few other texts. O nobly born, you of noble origin, the sons and the daughters of the awakened ones, remember who you are. Remember who you really are. And may all beings share in the blessings springing from this practice. By the power of these blessings, may all be well, happy, and peaceful. Sadhu, 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 Buddhang, Dhammang, Sanghang, Namasami.